The Space Shuttle Endeavour blasted off.
Few problems earlier this morning. They were concerned about the weather for a little while, but the Space Shuttle Endeavour is now off on a 6-day mission, the first mission of 1993 for the Space Shuttle program.
They're going to be up there for, again, at least 6 days, and the main goal of the 6-day mission, the release this afternoon of a $200 million, 2.5-ton satellite. It's similar to others that are already in orbit, and it's going to help the astronauts stay in constant contact with ground control on future shuttle missiles.
And of course, we'll be following the Space Shuttle mission over the next 6 days and keeping you posted. In other news today, new developments in another highly publicized Long Island case. Katie Beers has reportedly been cited twice. That has investigators scrambling today. News 12's Carolyn Gussoff telling us they're looking into claims the 10-year-old Mastic Beach girl was spotted in upstate Dutchess County.
They both believe in their perception that they saw Katie Beers.
The alleged sightings occurred on January 3rd in the Hyde Park shopping center. State police say they received the report a week ago.
A 16-year-old local resident was driving by and she saw what she believes to be Katie Beers exit a car and run toward a telephone. The girl was pursued by a white male who encountered her at the telephone, slapped her hand off the phone, and at this point, that particular witness continued to drive by and didn't see the way that this incident resulted.
And the second sighting?
The second sighting was an employee in the Grand Union, and he felt that he saw the girl several times in one of the shopping aisles, but he couldn't say whether she was escorted or unescorted at the time.
The alleged sightings have enabled police to put together this composite picture of one of the two white men seen with the little girl. Both witnesses said the child was in a brown station wagon. The circulation of the picture in a Dutchess and Ulster County newspaper has generated even more alleged sightings. Suffolk police aren't quick to lend credence to these reported sightings. They have 40 or 50 of their own to deal with throughout the state and throughout the country. And since the television show America's Most Wanted aired last Friday with a picture of Katie Beers, there have been an additional 40 sightings. So police are taking them all seriously, but not saying any of them are confirmed. In the meantime, Katie Beers' family in Bayshore, her godmother, Linda Ingharelli, says she doesn't have any relatives or know anyone in this area of Hyde Park, and she can't imagine any reason why Katie Beers would be here voluntarily. In Hyde Park, I'm Carolyn Gussoff, News 12, Long Island.
The gay-bashing trial of a Hofstra University student continues today. Prosecutors say 20-year-old Mark Safiansky made a phone call to a gay classmate, Alex Englanders, in May and left a message on an answering machine threatening to rape and kill Englanders. Well, Safiansky reportedly confessed to police when he was arrested, but later recanted and pleaded not guilty. The Hofstra student faces up to a year in jail if convicted. And a prisoner at the Nassau County Jail is in trouble today after allegedly swallowing a balloon full of marijuana. A jail guard says he spotted 22-year-old Tyrone Samuels of Brooklyn with an orange balloon in his hand. Samuels reportedly swallowed that balloon when the guard approached him, but then started choking on it. The corrections officer performed the Heimlich maneuver. The balloon came out only for the officer to find it was full of marijuana, police say. Samuels is charged with unlawful possession of marijuana and promoting prison contraband.
A gun-toting granny could be heading off to the big house after firing a starter's pistol in a bank. 83-year-old Catherine Ferguson was in a Dayton, Ohio bank talking to a friend. The two women were talking about protecting themselves against crime. When Ferguson showed her friend the starter's pistol Ferguson always carries with her, police say the gun accidentally fired. Mrs. Ferguson is now charged with inducing panic and faces a possible 6 months in jail if convicted.
And back on the island today, a Hempstead cop is free of criminal charges, but News 12's Patty Ann Brown tells us this isn't the last we'll hear of the off-duty cop hit-and-run case.
What is your verdict? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Hempstead Village Police Officer Willie Dixon was in tears when a jury found him not guilty of assault. Dixon was on trial for running over Alicia Ashby Hill with his car a year ago after a traffic argument. When Ashby Hill took the stand last week, she described the pain of being dragged beneath his car, her hair caught in the engine.
I was in pain. My back and my butt were bleeding. I was trying to not have my face rub up against the ground.
But Dixon says he hit her accidentally after she threw herself in front of the car during the argument. Apparently, the jury believed him.
Everyone who knows me knows that I am not violent. That street language that I supposedly said, everyone knew that was a lie. And I thank God, I thank my attorney, my family, and I thank the jury for realizing the truth.
The defense attorney says he thinks what hurt the prosecution most was that Alicia Ashby Hill's story has changed several times since the incident. The ADA prosecuting the case said he wouldn't speculate on what the jury was thinking when it reached its verdict.
We got a full opportunity to present the evidence, and we got a fair trial. Exactly how the dynamics of the trial work out, that I really don't know.
But Ashby Hill's family says the woman will live with her physical and emotional scars for a long time.
The jury system did what it thought was right. She'll have to accept it. But she knows in her heart that he committed a criminal act.
This case may not be over yet. Dixon's attorney says it should never have made it to trial. He says he'll meet with prosecutors next week to discuss the manner in which the case was presented to the grand jury.
We're terribly concerned that the former assistant district attorney who allowed this case to come this far perhaps overstepped his bounds.
In the meantime, Dixon will continue his duties with the Hempstead Village Police and attempt to get on with his life. In Mineola, Patty Ann Brown, News 12, Long Island.
Another off-duty cop's awareness is the reason why a wanted robber is behind bars today. Officer Frank Pinto says he saw a man draw a knife and threaten a gas station attendant yesterday at the mobile station at Wicks Road and the LIE Service Road in Brentwood. So Pinto rushed over and held 29-year-old James Bush of Central Islip just long enough, for cops to arrive and slap the cuffs on him. Well, it turns out Bush is wanted for 8 other alleged robberies in the past month. Funding for Suffolk's Police Athletic League may be saved from the chopping block. The county legislature is looking at a compromise that would restore funding to the youth league that serves 25,000 kids. Funding was cut last year due to budget restrictions. Suffolk County Executive Robert Gaffney says he supports a revival of the program by shifting management duties to 2 light-duty officers and 1 supervisor instead of the 8 officers who used to administer the program. Gaffney went on to say it was never a question of whether there should be a POW, just if the officers should be on the streets or busy running the league.
Still to come on News 12, time may be running out for residents of Dune Road.
And Eastenders say it's time for a change in the county tax system. The story is next.
New York Lotto. Hey, you never know.
An Allied military strike on Iraq appears imminent.
That's right. Today's New York Times reporting President Bush has decided to launch a military assault on Iraq, but the size of the assault remains to be determined. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein ordering his troops to again cross that figurative line in the sand into Kuwait for a 4th day today. In response, U.S. military leaders are reportedly drawing the battle lines.
The decision, though, on where and when to strike ultimately lies with the United Nations Security Council.
And that is where we find News 12's Greg Sergel with the very latest. Greg.
Carolyn Lee, that New York Times report that you referred to says that President Bush has been angered by Saddam Hussein's continued defiance to the United Nations, and it says that as a result of that, air attacks could come at any time. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Lawrence Eagleburger would not confirm the Times report today, but he did say that Iraq has been acting in, quote, an insane manner of late, and Eagleburger sarcastically said that it appears Iraq may again become the object of U.S. affections very soon. Now, Iraq has sent a letter to the United Nations saying it would like to negotiate and settle all differences, but other actions by Iraq seem to contradict that, and Iraqi officials said today that Iraq is determined to retake Kuwait. Also, once again today, a band of unarmed Iraqis moved into the demilitarized zone along the Iraqi-Kuwaiti border and removed Iraqi equipment that had been left over from the Gulf War. The United Nations says that is a violation of UN resolutions that were put together after the Gulf War. So again, it appears, according to the New York Times, that President Bush has decided to attack Iraq. When that will happen, where it will happen, is the big question that everyone is asking here, and I'm sure that at the United Nations today there will be a great deal of discussion about what lay ahead. At the United Nations, Greg Sergel, News 12, Long Island. Back to you, Lee and Carol.
Greg, from roaming the halls of the United Nations, do you have any indication as to where the strike might first begin?
All reports, speculations seem to indicate that the United States will strike at military areas in Iraq and also communications and weapons areas. It appears from speculation and again reports that the U.S. will avoid bombing Baghdad as it did at the beginning of the Gulf War. It will try and limit attacks to, as I said, military installations and weapons installations.
All right, Greg Sergel, thank you very much for the update. Well, a Marine from Elizabeth, New Jersey is apparently the first Marine casualty of Operation Restore Hope in Somalia. Military leaders say Marines were on patrol near the Mogadishu airport when they came under sniper fire. One Marine was reportedly hit in the head during the exchange. The name of the dead serviceman has not been released because some family members have yet to be notified.